Right, before I start, I'm going to show you what it's come to in this cave. Basically, the puppy has got half a tree in it, right? There's almost every leaf. Can you see him? Hopefully you can see him there. There is... there's leaves, there's branches, there's anything I can do to stop him eating his own bed, basically. But he's behaving now. I don't mind if he's munching the stick. Anyway, I often wonder, we get about like 50 new subscribers probably a week on this channel, something like that. I often wonder if somebody that's like tuning in for the first time would think, what the hell is this guy going on about? Why is there a dog in the video? Why does he keep going off on a tangent? And what's all this about pube trimmers? So, yeah, anyway, for those of you that have been here a long time, you understand what's going on. If you're new, you're welcome. Right, I've got to be honest with you, I'm getting completely and utterly bored with the Lopetegui stuff, with the Steidten stuff, and... So a little bit later in the video, I want to have a little chat about England. Last night, actually, quite impressed with what I saw, really, actually. It's amazing what happens when you put round pegs in round holes and you don't get blinded by the sort of Hollywood players and having to play in a certain way. We'll get to that in a minute. I just want to talk, first of all, about Terzić. That's it, isn't it? It's Terzić. Edin Terzić. And this supposed meeting that was meant to be happening this week between David Sullivan and Tim Steidten. Now, that is not happening. There is no meeting. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you, that David Sullivan and Tim Steidten have actually had a meeting in quite some time, actually. And I don't think there's really anything overly to discuss. I have remained convinced, since I've seen this fixture schedule, that if we didn't get maximum 3 points against Everton, then it's going to be really, really difficult for Lopetegui, particularly with Newcastle and Arsenal coming up. I know I keep saying it, so I'm not going to labour the point. I'm not even sure 1 point out of those two games will be enough. It really won't, because even 1 point will drop us lower. Anywhere lower puts us near the relegation zone. I think it's going to be very, very difficult to then go into the December fixture schedule with any sort of confidence, really. I am a bit annoyed with the club. This happens time and time again. If you're going to get rid of Lopetegui, the time to do it was now, because any new manager coming in would have the opportunity to spend at least 2 weeks on the training ground with those players that are not on international duty. Anyone coming in, let's say for argument's sake, Lopetegui loses against Arsenal and Newcastle. Any new manager coming in is going to have no time. He's going to have almost no time on the training ground because of all the games in December. I mean, it's going to be that quick turnaround. It's going to be a match day, then a rest, then travel, match day. We've done this so many times. We're really, really bad at it. And I'm almost more fed up about that than any of the other things that we're not particularly good at when it comes to recruitment at the club. So I don't think there's going to be a meeting because I don't think... Look, Gio did a video yesterday, but I don't think that Steidten's opinion on the manager is going to be taken into account. I don't think Steidten's going to be here next season. I don't think Fulcrew's going to be here next season. There's a lot of things I don't think are going to happen. So I just not entirely sure why we would take his opinion on board. Now, what I think is going to happen and what should happen are two very, very different things, or what I would like to happen. They're all different things. I'm just telling you what I believe is going to happen. I don't think Steidten will be here next season, so I don't think he's going to play any part in the manager. And I don't believe that it's because he's going to get hoovered up by any one of the top clubs as their director of football. I just think there's going to be a breakdown in relationship. That's all that's going to happen, which makes it untenable. Anyway, I also think that Edin Terzić is... Oi, don't bite that. Sorry, he's on... Oi, no, excuse me, I'll show you. This is what I mean. It's a mess. Come here. It looks like butter wouldn't melt, right? Doesn't it? You can't. Listen, if you munch on the cables, we can't do the video, can we? All right? Fair enough. Eat your stick. Puppies. Anyway, I think Terzić has been decided upon. I think that's the guy we're going to get. I'm not particularly happy about it, has to be said. I didn't know. I think I was sort of half excited at the prospect of him coming in, but my knowledge of him was paper thin. I was aware, obviously, I knew he was Slaven Bilic's assistant, didn't know much about him. I was aware that he'd won the German Cup with Dortmund, and I was aware that he'd reached the Champions League final. All the other stuff, I didn't know. I didn't know that the fans didn't want him anymore. I didn't know that there had been a public player revolt led by Mats Hummels against him. I didn't know that Niklas Füllkrug had come out and openly criticised him, basically on Sky Sports, Sky Germany, openly criticised him and his tactics. I didn't know there was these problems with Karim Adeyemi, and I was aware that the season before last, when they had this almost like this final game, this final match to see who was going to be league champions, Bundesliga champions against Bayern Munich. I actually watched that match. Remember, Jude Bellingham was injured, and they sort of had it in the palm of their hand, and they could have been the first team in a long, long time to beat Bayern Munich to the Bundesliga title. And I'm not just saying this because I've read it now. I sort of said it at the time. It felt like they'd bottled it. That didn't go down well with the Dortmund fans. He stayed for the remainder of the season, and actually they allowed Leverkusen to overtake them, and actually it was Leverkusen that eventually knocked Bayern Munich off their perch, which is something that Dortmund have been trying to do for years. The accusation against Terzić was that he didn't press enough, that he had possession for possession's sake, and they didn't much like the football at all. And Füllkrug's criticism of the tactics were very much that. I almost don't have the energy to consider that we could go and get a sort of third manager in a row who wasn't going to completely change the brand and change the I don't mean the brand, I mean the brand of football, not the branding of the club. I don't mean changing the badge and all that sort of stuff. It's almost more than I can bear to even think about it. If it's not obvious and apparent now on what the club needs to do, and looking at everybody else plays, and then we go and appoint this guy here, then it really just demonstrates that there's it's not that there's no appetite for change, but there is no appetite or any realisation that trends in football change, and that maybe that West Ham need to do something a little bit more expansive. So I think that's quite annoying. That for me, that's very, very annoying. And I would be worried about that. Obviously, if he came in, I would try and give him every opportunity, and I would try and back him in the same way. I'd like to think that I would try to get excited. I did get excited about Lopetegui eventually. I didn't want him, but then he came in. I thought, okay, let's get behind him, and I feel I did to a certain extent. Might have only lasted, a couple of months, but I tried. And look, myself and Gia will do our Newcastle preview next week. You'll see what I think about that at the time. And I can't imagine anything between now and next week is going to change my opinion on that fixture and how I think we'll fare in it. But we'll discuss that close to the time. I just find it, I think the way the club is run and the way we choose managers is horrendous. And I'm getting a little bit sick and tired of it, actually, truth be known. Anyway, England last night. I just want to say this about England last night. I thought it was really good. Look, Greece are not an amazing team, but they're very good at home, and they were group leaders in the Nations League. England needed to win basically 2-0. We ended up winning 3-0. And that was brilliant. I really thought so. But what I really liked what Kazi did is he dropped a lot of the big names. Now, a lot of the players weren't available, and they didn't make the squad. And Harry Kane had started complaining about a lot of players, pulling out the squad. And I understand that. That was England in the bad old days. And I think Kane's complaint was correct. However, it didn't do him any favours because Lee Carsley dropped him, and it was absolutely the right thing to do. Because not only did Ollie Watkins score, but I felt it just allowed England to be more expansive. And I thought it was really, really apparent when Harry Kane came on in the second half that Bellingham had his best game for England for a long, long time, I thought. I know he'd scored goals in the summer and whatnot, but he had a good all-round game. As soon as Harry Kane arrived on the pitch, and Harry Kane's a top-quality striker. And, I'm not saying drop him from the squad or anything like that. He's one of the best strikers around. He's absolutely brilliant. But almost immediately started dropping deep and getting in Jude Bellingham's way. Also, if you look at it as well, I was really pleased with Jared Bowen, who did well. He got on the pitch as a replacement for Madueke, who had played really, really well. Bowen came on. He spent the first 10 minutes probably defending. He was probably thinking, hold on, this is a bit like West Ham here. But he played his part. Not only did he play the ball through to Morgan Gibbs-White, who then sort of passed the ball, sort of across the face of goal for Curtis Jones to score quite a remarkable goal. But I really liked what Bowen did. He played the pass. He went a little dribble first, played the incisive pass, then he ran inside to basically he made himself available to play the 1-2. So I thought that was really good. But shortly after that, there was another move where he picked the ball up and he passed it to Harry Kane and he should have got the ball back. But Harry Kane, I think because he'd been dropped, went on this little run whereby he basically went on a greedy dribble and tried to do something he's not really equipped to do, which is, I don't know, in the inside right channel, trying to do something you might expect, just a pacey, maybe Madueke might have done it or something like that. But it was just the desperation of somebody that hadn't been in the game and wanted to prove himself. He hasn't got to prove himself to anybody, by the way. But the ball needed to go back to Bowen then, and there was just several times when I thought it probably epitomised why Carsley was right to do what he'd done in the first place. Lewis Hall was on at left back. He just looked like a decent left back. I thought Rico Lewis, there's a lot of Lewises going on. Rico Lewis played really well as well. And I just thought that midfield combination of Conor Gallagher was sort of such energy, perpetual motion, played so well. So well. He's sort of a little bit gutted, really, that West Ham didn't get him. So I was watching Gallagher and I was thinking he's probably exactly what we could do with in midfield at the moment. But to look at Gallagher, Bellingham I've already spoken about, was sort of liberated a little bit. Playing alongside Curtis Jones. Superstars, any of them? No, not really. But, without, I don't know what Declan Rice would be thinking watching that, because I thought that it worked really, really well. I did. Morgan Gibbs-White, when he came on, obviously played well as well. Not having to shoehorn Phil Foden in there allowed Anthony Gordon, I thought, was excellent in the first half. Play well. Madueke on the other side. We basically had a couple of wingers. We had a mobile striker. When the intention to press was there, we did it very, very quickly, which I thought was really good, very effectively. I thought, as I say, the midfield functions. Just overall, it was a functional, good performance. And look, Jordan Pickford had to make some good saves, a couple of really good saves actually. But it was quite simple. I didn't think there was anything overly innovative about the tactics particularly. But it's this age-old thing with England, where be it trying to shoehorn Lampard, Gerrard and Scholes into the same team or whatever it is. Sometimes you're crying out for someone to make the brave decision. And I felt Carsley did that, and he probably has given Thomas Tuchel something to think about there. I wouldn't, as I say, Greece were not brilliant, but I wouldn't be in any great hurry to immediately reinstate all the guys that missed out. England looked pacey. England looked effective. I quite like the composition of that midfield. I was impressed, as I say, very impressed with Gallagher, very impressed with Jones. We all know what a good player Bellingham is, but he didn't have Harry Kane getting in his way. He was able to do what he wanted because he wanted the job that the other two were doing, which was obviously Curtis Jones and Conor Gallagher. Really, really good. One thing was frustrating was when, in the first half, when Kyle Walker was playing at right back, his tendency, once we got a bit of territory, to then look back and pass it back to the keeper was incredibly frustrating. And I thought it was no surprise that England improved in that regard when he moved to centre-back and Enrico Lewis was at right-back, who could basically, just be a little bit more progressive with his passing and sort of tends to look forward rather than look back. But, I thought it was really good, really enjoyable. Good game, actually. And, going on to Ireland is the next one. I think that's the last game in the Nations League group, I think. So, good times. It just looked a lot better, really, didn't it? And I think looking forward to seeing what Tuchel could do there. But I think if I was Jared Bowen, you could be sort of quietly pleased with what you've done there. I think that's certainly the case, that he can think, okay, hopefully I'll get another chance. I feel he should have got the ball back on a couple of occasions, maybe because he's Jared Bowen and he's not one of those Hollywood players. It doesn't happen. I don't know. But I'm quite sure when he gets a decent chance, he gets that back. I think there's a goal. I think there's an England goal coming for Bowen as long as he can getting selected, but it's hard. There's such competition for places. Obviously, Saka wasn't part of the squad, as were many others, but a Cole Palmer as well, of course. But I thought it was good. Honestly, I wouldn't be in a hurry to put any of those guys in. I thought decent. Anyway, there you go. Just my thoughts today. Here you go. Let me show you this. Can you see? I don't know if it focuses on him. It sent him to sleep. I've probably done the same with you guys.